See if it's all right. Join with me today from the Raging Nathans and owner operator, the man of Rad Girlfriend Records. Josh is here with us. How you doing, dude?
Hey, doing pretty good.
Hell yeah! So we're here to talk about your 2022 release, "Failures in Arts," the Sordid Youth Volume 2, and kind of like going through that process. But first, let's talk a little bit about the Raging Nathans as a whole. Kind of what's the history of them?
We started in 2009, me and Nick and our friend Derek, and it was a side project because we all had different bands at the time. I was playing in a band called Rad Company, and we were, we put out actually that band put out a lot of 7 inches too, um, and we were touring and we were trying to make stuff happen. And the Nathan started as a side project. Um, there used to be like an all ages collective in downtown Dayton called the Dayton Dirt Collective, and I remember I just walked outside after a show one time, and Nick and Derek were talking about like a kind of band they wanted to be in, and I was like, man, I was like, I want to be in that band. And
Yeah.
literally, like the next day, we went to Derek's mom's house and had two songs, and yeah, and then so we would play sporadically, and we recorded our first 7 inch in 2012. So we really didn't do a whole lot, until a few years later, and then even after that 7 inch, like we didn't really start focusing on that band until like 2014. So like we had been around for 5 years at that point, put out like two 7 inches or something like that, and um, as it became the main focus for all of us, like that's what we really started working on. And then shortly after that, Derek left, and we got Jared, who played bass, and there had been some lineup changes throughout the
Mhm.
years, and then most recently we've had the same lineup for about 8 years.
Hell yeah, man. And I mean, since then, since you really put the focus on it, you guys have been pumping music out like crazy, which is awesome. You really have you harness that like kind of do it yourself ethos. Or at least it seems to me from the person listening to it and viewing the band from the outside, because you all your stuff is on Rad Girlfriend Records, and you're pumping it all out, which I think is really important to the scene and for people to know. Even in 2026, you can still, more so in 2026, like kind of do things on your own and climb.
Yeah, and I think even now more so, it's more important to um, know that you can do those things on your own, and to actually like I would actually suggest it to people. I think you know I'm 39 years old at this point. Um, a lot of my um, there are certain things that you have to accept as you get older, especially being in a band. Um, I started the label to put out Rad Company Records because nobody really wanted to do it at the time. And when I go back and I look at those 7 inches, and we did a split LP, like we recorded a bunch of stuff. And I look back on that stuff and I'm like, man, this stuff was great,
Mhm.
like. But at the time, there was a scene that we were trying to get involved with, that really didn't want to accept that band, and I think that messed with us a little bit, and it really discouraged us. And then when the Nathan, so like that's ultimately I feel like what led to the breakup of that band, and then the Raging Nathans. It was like, um, it had been around, but when we started focusing on it, and you started putting out more records, and there were bands and there were people that I had looked up to that like, you know, I never I could never sit in one place for very long. I could never be in one place. So when I see a band put out a record and then they don't put out another record for 2 years or 4 years, or I mean, in the Dopamine's case, like
Mhm.
7 years, 8 years. Like, that's never really been me because I don't really know what else to do with myself. And so I find it to be a way to, um, all the feelings and emotions and problems and good or bad, like, that I have in my life. It's the only way that I have to, like, I don't have anything else. It's like, so that's
Mhm.
what I channel that into. And as corny as it sounds, it's art, and I view it as art, and I view each release as a separate piece of art. That it's really the only thing I've ever been semi good at in my life, and I came to learn this. And some of those things that I had to accept were like, look, this band's not for everybody. And,
Mhm.
and it's clear, it's like we've been around for 16 years or 15 years at this point. Some like 2009. What is that? Nine, seven? I don't know. I can't count either. But like, um, I had to accept some things. Like, we're not a huge band. We're not a popular band, but um, we do it for a very, I think, altruistic reason. And
Yeah.
we I'm very invested in, like, creating art for the sake of creating art. And then, as the years went by, we worked really hard. We put out a lot of records. We toured a lot. And some things luckily, went our way. We lucked out, especially the last 2 years with certain gigs and tours and stuff like that. Um, and that's great. And I was just talking to my friend John from Dead Bars about this last night, about, and we're just never, I've never been lucky. Like, I've never been, like, in the right place at the right time. So all the luck that I've had, it's like we created ourselves. And
Mhm.
and I just find it to be very important to keep moving. And I
Yeah.
and I want to keep writing music, and I want to keep expressing myself, so I don't go crazy. And to do that, and of course, having the label really is beneficial in terms of that, because I'm able to put out records quickly. I'm able to do whatever I want. Like, I don't have to. I have the fortitude to sit down and mail out the orders. I mean, I think
Mhm.
sometimes when bands ask me to put out a record, I'll ask them, like, if they can do it themselves, or if they want to split it
Yeah.
as a band, because you know it's helpful. But you also have to have the kind of commitment to be able to, like, take the orders, stay up on the orders,
Yeah.
pack them, ship them. I mean, I have a job, and I spend way more time working on the record label as a full-time job that I don't make any money at, than I do the job that I use to pay my bills.
Mhm.
So, learning to accept, like, my place in the world of music and the world of punk rock has helped me develop kind of a strategy as to, like, or an identity for this band. Um,
Yeah.
you know, One guy that I took a lot of stuff from was Robert Pollard from Guided by Voices. You know, Not necessarily the music, but the the ethic of, like, the way he does things. It's like the guy's put out 50 records, 50 albums. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, in one band, there's constant. He's an artist. He wakes up in the morning and he writes songs and he does art, and he has books of it. I mean, this is like the most probably prolific, one of the most prolific people that, and he became a friend of mine, and an inspiration in terms of how he, or how to create art.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of, once you start to get, at least with the Nathans, once we started to get a booking agent and some offers and started kind of doing stuff, um, you can see the focus shift a little bit to where it's like, well, now you're worried about like who are you going to play with next, or
Yeah.
what's the guarantee, or like, all this like stupid shit that doesn't really matter. And what keeps me grounded is like, well, we're not some fucking big band, and we're never gonna be unless like there's some type of
Mhm.
something that happens that's out of our control.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not against that. I don't rule it out. I mean, like, hey man, I would love to like, I want people to come see us, and I want people to
Yeah.
be fans of us. So anyway, I think that putting out a lot of records and constantly putting out music and constantly writing music is a way for me to keep things fresh. It's a way to leave some type of mark on the world. I mean, I just don't know what else I would do other than just be a regular guy, and which is
Yeah.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'd go crazy.
Yeah. So this album specifically, Failures in Art, Sword Youth, Volume 2, from
So
my
we're talking about the second one, right?
yeah, from 2022. So that's like is it like a collection, from my understanding, a collection of singles, EPs from like 2017 to 2022, kind of pieced together, 20 songs?
Yeah. So like I don't know why
Mhm.
I thought that we were talking about the newest one that just
Oh,
came
my
out.
bad.
So no, you clearly told me what it was. So let me just, if you don't mind, I'm just pulling up the track listing,
Yeah.
um, so I can tell you.
Well, it opens with I Self Destruct,
Right.
which is a pretty heavy hitter. I love that song quite a bit.
So yeah, I mean, what's great about this is, and I'm glad that you want to talk about these comps because um, I could talk about this stuff all day. The reason that I wanted to do the comps was because one, we had so many 7 inches that it made sense to me to like, oh well, I can repackage it all in one place and
Mhm.
have like a new release, like a new record to sell and for people to buy. But this time, like, anybody who missed any of those 7 inches can like can have them all in one place. So the first one, which was called Sleeper Hits, that was from 2012 to 2016, I guess.
Mhm.
Like, that had all the like the really old stuff. Um, and then this one was from what you said, 2017 to 2021, I guess, or
Yeah.
22, something like that.
Yep.
So like, this is where the point in the band where I feel like we started to really kind of write some better songs.
Mhm.
So I Self Destruct was originally a Rad Company song
Okay.
that never made it to a record. It was only on a demo. But I wrote that song, um, and it ended up on a split with Pizza Hi-Fi, or no, excuse me, with Pizza Tramp from the UK.
Nice.
And those guys rip. And then We Don't Talk was written by Jared. And I remember, if you go through I feel like a lot of our best songs ended up on 7 inches, and I always kick myself because I'm like, damn, I should have saved that for an
Mhm.
LP or something. Um, Not particularly these two songs, but We Don't Talk was one that I remember is like pretty wild song. I mean, Jared was like a grindcore kid, and
Mhm.
he loved pop punk and stuff, and but you could hear the kind of like more like metally influence, and especially in a song like that. But what my favorite thing is at the end of that song, um, he said, it says "We don't talk," and then it pans left and right, and it goes talk, 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 talk,
Yeah.
talk, talk, and like we had recorded it like 3 different times, so it was like 3 different people saying the word talk, and it just ended up being a really cool song, I thought.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I've been listening to it a little bit more these last few days, on my runs. I've been on, like, trying to exercise and live healthy,
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna try that tomorrow.
yeah, same. But Yeah, so like I definitely, you kind of talked about it a little bit already, but like I noticed like this kind of covers a wide range of how you are as musicians. Um because like there's some songs that I would say like, oh yeah, this is definitely like a Raging Nathan song, like maybe like All Screwed Up or something like that, where like I Self Destruct and like We Don't Talk is a little more um kind of like it's a little more aggressive, I guess, in ways
Right.
that some other ones might not be. So yeah, it does cover a wide showing, which I think too is why some of these comps are pretty important as well. Because one, it kind of shows like the growth of a band that you're into. It does give you access to those 7 inches that you probably maybe missed growing up, or if I'm getting into a band now, I don't always necessarily go back to
They
this
could be out of
7 inches,
print or whatever. Yeah.
right? So I thought, yeah, I think I love this comp quite a bit. Does it so like is it just like, did you pick all 20, were those 20 songs that just weren't placed somewhere or were on an EP already, or were there other ones that you left off and you're like, yeah, we don't need to put that on here?
Well, I nope. I've put everything that we've recorded on these comps. I mean, I guess if you don't mind, I'd like to just talk real quick about like the comp itself.
Yeah,
Um, like the artwork was done by Eric Biskowskis, and
yeah,
the
it's
art
awesome.
was so crucial to this record. And even in the first one, the second one, and the third one, if you look in the at the insert, I've made like a poster for most of them. I don't think the third one has it, but um, I write a little blurb or description about each one of these songs.
Oh hell yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Sometimes it's like, sometimes it's a little too angry. Sometimes I remember the first one, I had to go back and like, I'm like, nobody needs to know all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of it's focused, I think, on either what the song is about, where it was recorded, when it was recorded, why, stuff like that. So anybody who's actually like a fan of the band or interested in that stuff, especially maybe if they hear this, like it's all in the a lot of it's in the record that you can go and read. It's
Mhm.
probably embarrassing to read for me now because I don't it's like I don't go back. I didn't go back too much and edit it. It's more of like this is what I was thinking at the time, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about the comps is that it also gave me an opportunity as a writer, as somebody who likes to write words, a chance to explain a little bit of history about the band and what I was thinking and who wrote the song and why and all that stuff. So sorry, I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh yeah, I think that's important too, because I always think of you know when I think of like albums, I do think of the artwork. I do think of the inserts. Like this is all one thing. Like of course the music, the songs are important, but like even the look of the vinyl, like the variant that you might get, it's like it's all part of it, and that's
it, it,
all
it's
what makes
all
it.
it's all one package. It's supposed to be, like I said, it's supposed to be this piece of artwork, living, artwork that you can listen to, that
Hmm.
you can, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a bare bones record where there's no
Right.
information and no lyrics. There's value to that too. Just for me, I figured if I was going to put all these songs and I was going to compile them, people probably want to know a little bit about them because there's really no information about those songs on the 7 inches, if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I Self Destruct and We Don't Talk were with Pizza Tramp, and I had this guy Trashy. He's a buddy of mine from the grindcore scene, and he was in a band called Pizza High Five that were pretty revered as a grind band. And but he used to live at this place called the Leather Shop in Lima, Ohio, and really in that circle, really like well known place for bands like that to play. And he would always do these like sick flyers, man. He had like really good like graffiti handwriting, and the flyers were always like weird and fucked up. So I had asked him to do the cover for that 7 inch,
Nice.
and that's where that came from.
Hell yeah, man. Is there like so when people are listening to this specific one, this volume 2, are these in a certain order? Are they from like 2017 to
Yeah, they're
2022?
they're they're in chronological order.
Okay.
That's why. So like, I start when I look through um, the track listing. I feel like it starts to get good around track 9 or 10, and then there's like, so like the Dead Bars split. I thought was really great material from us. I
Mhm.
thought that the Reaganomics split was some of our best stuff that we have written to this day. Um,
I love ergonomics. They're fun.
yeah, man, we played with them once. They're cool dudes. They used to be in a band called Ryan's Hope.
Okay.
Um, I think that was the name. But then like, there's some, like, there's no denying it. There's some duds on this record. Um, but like that's okay, because like you can't have 27 inches and 6 records without
Mhm.
having some fucking duds. You can't be a band for 40 years without having a shitty album. I mean, it kind of just comes along with the territory, and a
Yeah.
lot of it for me isn't like the songs were bad. It's more or less I didn't get to capture them in the studio the way that had heard them in my head. So
Mhm.
it's like if I could go back now and re-record some of these, you know what I mean? Like like some of the ones I don't like, maybe they'd be better. There's a couple comp tracks on here that are. So I mean, do you want me to go through the tracks, or like what? Like
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about the first two already. I self-destruct and we don't talk. So yeah, spoiled brats, signals, are those comped together or
Yep, Spoiled Brat and Signals were on a split with the Parasites.
oh hell yeah. They played
Um,
literally across the street from where I'm at right now one time in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin of all places.
yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately, Dave and I had a fallout.
Yeah,
You know,
that happens.
pretty stupid, really. But like, um, we can get into that some other time. Actually,
Yeah, that's fine.
I have coming up onto track 7. I'll tell that story.
Okay.
But so like, yeah, so this is actually an interesting 7-inch. So like, Spoiled Brat and Signals. I wrote the music and words to Spoiled Brat. Nick Hamby wrote the words and music to Signals. I think that they're both great songs.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about them is that um, this is right at the end of our Jared era of
Okay.
him playing bass. Um, so we recorded this at what the fuck was the studio? It was John Curley's from the Afghan Wigs studio, Ultra Suede studio. And we recorded it with Jerry Westerkamp from Vacation, and John Hoffman, who was also in Vacation. And they worked together frequently. They recorded stuff on tape, you know,
Mhm.
not really like the way I wanted to do it, but we wanted to get in the studio. We wanted to do this thing, and I think that we were the last band to end up recording at Ultra Suede down in Cincinnati. So at the time, we recorded at the same time we recorded Spoiled Brat, Signals, All Screwed Up, and Bozo. We did all four
Oh
of those
nice.
songs in the same session. Now, Spoiled Brat and Signals, I would have to check the credits, but Jared decided he didn't want to come to the recording session.
Mm.
So Jerry and John Weiner. So John Weiner from the Dopamines showed
Mhm.
up for some reason with a bottle of champagne. I remember this, and he ended up playing bass on on one or two of the songs, as did Jerry.
Oh
And I
nice.
think I can't remember. Maybe I played bass on on the Spoiled Brat and Signals. I can't remember, but anyway, so that session had, if you look in the liner notes, it says who played. And I
Nice.
thought it was interesting because it's like, yeah, there's a recording with where the Raging Nathans are me, Nick, and John Weiner. There's one where there's me, Nick, and Jerry, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Spoiled Brat and Signals sound lo-fi. They were
Sure.
recorded on tape and they were bounced and mixed digitally, but like, it doesn't really the recordings don't really do it for me. Um Spoiled Brat ended up on Oppositional Defiance,
Hmm.
our third record. We re-recorded that for that record, and I think
Nice.
it sounds much better. Not to say that this one sounds bad. Like I feel like they all have their own little
Yeah.
magic to it. And it doesn't. And if it's a good song, and it doesn't matter what band it is, if you have a good song, the recording doesn't even matter. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like look at the Misfits. Like they never had great recordings, but like the songs were so amazing that it just never
Hmm.
mattered. So at the same session we did All Screwed Up and Bozo. All Screwed Up, and those two songs we had tried to record. We had tried to record them once before in a studio in Columbus that were Jared's friends who like the guy worked for the Acacia strain or something,
Hmm.
and like everything just went wrong. It was like not a good session. The whole day was spent waiting around while these guys smoked weed and like fucked everything up. And then like the songs ended up sounding terrible. And I'm sure they exist somewhere. I couldn't find those tracks,
Yeah.
that doesn't even matter. But so All Screwed Up is about a person I know, um, who like it's about a couple people I know kind of all in one, but All Screwed Up is the name of like the first Screwdriver record. And
Okay.
this person was like, what I consider like a fence sitting kind of like, you know, skinhead, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I had some things to say about some of the things that this person was doing,
Yeah.
you know, and so I wrote a song about it. And then Bozo is about my dog that died.
Oh, okay.
Um, okay, cool. So and those two songs ended up on a split 7-inch with John Cougar Concentration Camp,
All right. Nice.
which was really cool for me because it's like one of those bands, legendary pop punk bands from back in the day,
Hmm.
um, and that worked out. So again, like kind of lo-fi sounding, but they sound okay. One of those two, I think it was both. Listening to a lot of AFI, I think during that
Sure.
era.
Yeah, that's all right. They're making a resurgence
Sure, yeah, this was like more like, um, you know, the All Hallows Eve EP.
for
You
sure.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so packing my bags was also originally a Rad Company song,
Nice.
that never ended up on anything, and then Rad Girlfriend Records was coming up on our 100th release, and so I was trying to think of something cool to do for it. So I did like this double LP comp of like all new tracks from exclusive tracks from bands that had worked with the label in some capacity.
Nice.
Um, Packing My Bags was just recorded for that purpose, but we recorded it in a decent studio, and like I added some pretty cool guitar stuff to it. I think it's a good song. It's a pretty personal song. But the story about Dave Parasite was, we had been working together on the 7 inch and everything went fine. And then I had asked the Parasites to contribute a song to
Mhm.
this comp. And, and Dave did. And it's a great song. But he was unhappy with the amount of like band copies that I was able to provide him.
Sure.
And I was like, I basically had said to him like, look, Dave, I can give you a couple copies of this comp, like no problem, but like there's 40 bands on here. Like if I gave every
Yeah.
band, you know, 30 band copies or whatever, like I wouldn't have a pressing of records. And he couldn't understand that concept, and furthermore like wouldn't leave me alone about it. So
Oh,
that ended up in a blocked phone number.
it happens.
Yeah, I mean, like whatever.
Right.
It sucks, but I got to do a split with the Parasites, and
Yeah, that's awesome.
it was pretty cool. And their songs are fucking rad. I mean, the guy's a great songwriter,
Mhm.
So going down the list here, is there any? Am I? Is there anything I'm missing out on here, or is there
No,
anything you
man,
wanted to ask?
this is great. No, I like the dissection of it because it's such a wide variety, and it's not like one album like from it's not Waste My Heart or anything. This is a collection, so it's good to get these backgrounds and everything like that.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is that like towards the the new one, Bad Timing, the most recent collections
Hmm.
record, really feels like to me a cohesive album.
Yeah, I
And
would
I
agree.
think that's because of like when this stuff ends in 2022 and everything that we did since then, like was good.
Yeah,
Like on here there's still some stinkers, and like but we were finding after all these years, like we were figuring out our sound, and like just our how to make the songs sound good. I thought.
yeah,
So Georgia was a song by this band Low Culture, which was one of the first records that Rad Girlfriend was a part of. It had Chris Mason from Dirt Cult Records and Shangalang. Um, and this was a song off of that 7 inch that we had released. And we had recorded it because Dead Broke Records had asked us, they were going to do for their 200th release, they were going to do a comp of like bands
hmm.
from their label covering other bands from their label.
Oh, nice.
So we went into the studio right away and did that, and nothing ever happened with it. So I had this song lying around, and I just figured, well, this would be a good place to put it because it never came out anywhere else.
Hmm.
And um, it's technically an unreleased at the point, or at the time, it was technically an unreleased song,
Oh,
but
nice.
um, so if you did have all the 7 inches, let's say,
Yeah,
and you got this, at least there would be some stuff you'd never heard on there before.
yeah, that's cool.
Um, I'm Telling Mike and Minor Details, those were on a split with Dead Bars from
Nice.
Seattle.
I like I'm telling Mike a lot. That's a good one.
Me too. And actually, it's kind of funny because um, how do I explain this? We had been talking about what we wanted to do for the split, and they were like, "Well, we have a cover of this In Excess song, Don't Change, and an original," and we were like, "Okay, well, we had Minor Details, which is a classic Nick Hamby song,
Mhm.
and Minor Details is a fucking great song, in my opinion."
Yeah,
One of those songs that should have been on an LP. It's a very good song. And then I'm Telling Mike was like, so we were trying to think of a cover song, and I was listening to, I'm Telling Tim, the No Effect song,
hmm,
and their stuff from that era was so great, and um, there are certain songs that I kind of admired his ability to like, write biting kind of satire or like
Hmm.
sarcastic. Um, he was able to incorporate like the things that were happening in punk rock world
Right.
and his band in his music, and like
Hmm.
people were in tune with that. And so like at the point I was pretty frustrated with like what was going on. Now you could listen to those lyrics and take them as like um a, a criticism of like Fat Mike or No Effects, but it's really not what it is. It's more along the lines of like, this is my version of I'm telling Tim as a
Hmm.
guy in a band running a record label, where it's like, I kind of felt like there were all these bands at the time that I would talk to that I didn't relate to because our goals were different. I
Hmm.
felt like a lot of people's goals were to you know, like do coke with Fat Mike.
Right.
That was like their end game. Like all of a sudden that's like makes you successful. Um and that's not what I related to. And I wanted to write something that was like a criticism more of like my experience dealing with record labels and people like that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not 1996. Like, you're not going to get rich. They got rich because in 1996 they were pressing CDs for
Hmm.
fucking 13 cents a piece and
Right.
making $16 off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you look at it from a different perspective, it's not about a person. It's about like this. I think it opens up with like, what's the matter with punk rock today?
Hmm.
Bands aren't saying what they want to say, and I feel like there was a lot of like people were trying to watch their mouths or like watch what they were saying because they were trying to fit into some mold, or they were worried
Sure.
about what someone else was going to think of them or how it's going to affect them. And I think what that does is that affects the music. It's like, look, I'm not saying you have to be offensive, or like, that's not what I mean. I just mean like, if you have something to say, fucking say it,
Right.
and that's what that song was about. And I think it ended up good. I got into an argument with Patrick, with our drummer, over it because like of the
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm like, no, you're not doing it. Like, no, you're not doing it. But anyway, the song turned out great. It was recorded well,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that was cool. So I'm telling Mike minor details. Um, the next two songs were from a split 7-inch with Starter Jackets.
Okay.
Starter Jackets was a band with Luke McNeil from the Copyrights and Hospital
Hmm.
Job, and Luke's like the main songwriter for Copyrights.
Yeah.
And we had put out a Starter Jackets record, which is, both of them are fucking great. And so we did a split with them, and Go to Sleep was Go to Sleep was a song. So at this point in the band, Christian is in the band, Pat is in the band. So now we have the solid lineup.
Hmm.
Um, and this is where you can start to tell things get a little bit better. Um, Christian had a song that he said none of his other bands wanted, and he played it for us, and we were like, "Oh, this fucking rules!" It sounded like Weezer or something to me.
Hmm.
And I thought it was great. I thought the lyrics were cool. We recorded it, and I think we recorded it with Micah Carley from Hawthorne. He used to be in Hawthorne Heights. He's a Dayton guy,
Yeah.
friend of ours who's done a lot of our recordings, and then we had Luke mix it.
Nice.
Um, so that was Go to Sleep. That was a Christian song. And then El Camino was a cover of The Creeps.
Okay.
Um, Now, the Creeps are one of my favorite bands, and I just think that they're so catchy and so dark and gloomy and like
Mhm.
um the songs are so great. And what I love about that band is that you can from when you look at their first releases, and I say this in the record, like to like their latest release, I mean the evolution of that band and the songwriting is just it's so visible and it's so audible, but like it's it's great. And like I love watching the growth and evolution of that band. And so I picked this song that was from one of their early records where it's I don't think if you ask them they probably you know wouldn't play anything off of that record. And
Mhm.
it sounds a lot different than like the Creeps that most people probably are familiar with.
Yeah.
But the song El Camino, I picked it because it was like that that catchiness, that Scotty's his ability as a songwriter was clear to me there, even if it was a much different style.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I just chose that song because I think we needed another song, and I was like, well, let's cover this song. The song fucking rules.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so that was that. Now Emily, this is an interesting song. This was off of the Scary Clown Presents comp, and the first 5 years, I think. And this was a production company out of England, or not a production company, but the like promoters. They like put on
Yeah, yeah.
shows. It was like the Scary Clown Presents, and then
Sure.
um, we had met these guys in fuck, dude, I can't remember the city, somewhere in England, and we had this fucking wild show. It was great, and we were playing with Wonk Unit,
Oh,
and those
nice.
guys kept in touch, and they asked us to contribute a song to this comp. So
That's
we went
sweet.
in and recorded this one. Now this is like this is one of my weird ones. Like I wrote this song, I had these riffs like lying about probably since I was like in my early 20s, like, and I put them all together and
Mhm.
wrote the lyrics for it, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And now it's much different. It's a very very different song than any of these other songs.
Mhm.
But it's got it's a little preview into like certain things that we were going to do.
Sure.
And like I feel like the guitar work there's a lot more guitar work on this song than there is on some of like the more straightforward punk songs. So like
Mhm.
another song that would be similar in a similar vein would be like "Don't Miss the Train" off of Oppositional Defiance, or I don't know. There's some other ones that I will come across that I might, that I'll tell you. But anyway, so this is an oddball, but it's a good song, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was from the Scary Clown Presents comp, and I don't think a lot of people have that record. At least not in America.
Yeah.
Um, Now this is one of my favorite releases. Can't Relate and Worry About Yourself. Um, I got a call from Red Scare asking if there was a band that wanted to do a split with the Reaganomics.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was like, yeah, we'll do it. I mean, I wanted to work with them at the time, and it just it was cool. But like the thing was like I didn't have any songs, and I wanted to make sure that like whatever I put on there is a
Mhm.
fucking banger.
Yeah,
Like,
for
you know
sure.
what I mean? Like for me, this was an opportunity to like to show what we could do. So I went down in the basement and I wrote Can't Relate, and I wrote Worry About Yourself in 2 days
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. And I booked studio time for it. I think I recorded that with Luke in Illinois, and we drove out there and we recorded those songs, and then
Yeah.
and then we had the material before the Reaganomics did. And in fact, I think that I got another call that was like, well, they're not sure if they want to put the songs that they have on this record with and I was like, fuck it, man, who cares? Just do it. It's fucking fine, and
Mhm.
they have a great side of the record too. Oh, and fuck you is on there too. So fuck you, that's a Christian song, the 40-second song. So those three songs ended up being on there. But Nick
Yeah.
Amy did the artwork for it, and I did. I did a video for Can't Relate. I had this guy for a long time. This guy named Johnny M. I don't know anything about him, but like he had reached out to me one time, and he had done a lot of like promo work and videos for us from like Oppositional Defiance through Waste My Heart. And
Mhm.
then he just like disappeared one day and stopped responding to my emails and my texts and everything. But he still buys records from me. It's the
Hell
strange
yeah.
it's the strangest thing, and I wish it was different because the guy was so talented and like really understood when I said to him like, "Hey, this is what I want." He
Mhm.
like it's rare, it happens with this guy Eric Baskauskas where I'm easily it happens with Evan Wolf, who's done a lot of our videos, like where I can easily where they understand what I see in my head, and then
Mhm.
we're able to communicate about it. A lot of times there's a disconnect. But he did the video for that. I basically took all the footage and then he put it together. There's like a lyric video for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember when that release came out, I was I monitor Red Scare quite a bit too because I love them. But yeah, those were like the ones I was like, "Oh, I know these songs," like towards the end when I was listening to it.
And for me, that's the highlight of this record is Can't Relate and Worry About Yourself. Can't Relate, I thought was a banger. And then Worry About Yourself, every once in a while I'll surprise myself because um, Worry About Yourself has this breakdown in the middle of it that reminds me of like Bruce Springsteen or something. I don't know. I'm not like a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, but I would
Yeah.
imagine like that's anyway. But like the drums just are good on it. The songs are good. Like
Yeah.
I felt like with this release, we had solidified ourselves as like a band that could really write a song.
Mhm.
I was proud. For like the first time I think ever in this band, I was like proud of myself because I
Hell yeah.
wrote the songs in like 2 minutes. You know, recorded it and like we did it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And getting towards the end here, Brenda's Got a Devil Lock. That was a cover song from a band called the Spodies from Cincinnati that were on Mutant Pop. So I had gotten a call from or an email from fuck, dude. I don't even know. Grath, maybe Madden or it's slipping me right
It's
now,
all
but
good.
it ended up on like a Mutant Pop comp CD of like bands covering Mutant Pop bands.
Mhm.
Um, we recorded it with John Hoffman in Dayton, Kentucky. So there's a Dayton,
Okay.
Kentucky. We're,
Interesting.
we're from Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I knew that.
so like we went, we recorded it, and again, like it was recorded to tape, and that's like those guys' thing. But we
Mhm.
couldn't get into the studio anywhere, so we went and recorded it with John. I mean, we had a pretty good time. I remember Pat got mad at me in the studio and fucking flipped out on me over something. Uh, and then it cost a lot of money, and and I remember it being like, all right, well, whatever. Not one of my favorite songs that we ever did.
Mhm.
And then to throw it in there right after all the good ones, it's like, oh fuck.
Sure.
But it is kind of like in chronological order, and I wanted to
Right.
maintain that. So like for
Yeah.
me, I feel like that's one of our stinkers, but it's not really like it's not bad. It's just not good. And then the same with like, and it sucks to end a fucking record out this way, but old time feeling and oppositional defiance, those were leftover songs from the oppositional defiance record that got
Sure.
that got cut Old Time Feeling was another Rad Company song that we had repurposed. Um, I think we were probably just trying to. Actually, I think Oppositional Defiance might have been the only one that got cut, and then maybe we did Old Time Feeling in the session for. I don't really remember, but um, again, Old Time Feeling, a good song. It just didn't get captured the
Hmm.
correct way. I mean, it was rushed. It doesn't sound great. I mean, the recording's good, but it doesn't, it doesn't do it for me. And then Oppositional Defiance, kind of the same thing. I mean, it was one of those songs where didn't love the lyrics, didn't love anything about the song, which is
Hmm.
why I got cut from the record in the first place. But with each of the records that we put out, for the most part, for a couple of them, I had pressed a 7-inch to give away free with the record. So
Yeah.
Waste My Heart, Oppositional Defiance, I think Still Spitting Blood also had one. And like I just think that's a punk thing to do, man. It's
Hmm.
like it sucks. Records are expensive, you know. Everyone likes getting something for free. Um
Yeah, I think it was either with a Nathan album or a Dopamine album that I ordered from you, and I got some like you gave me. Maybe I can send you a picture of it, but like a random like 45, and it's got like old like I think it's like old disco tunes or something on it. Um, and I was just like, what is this? It's super unique. I'll snap you a picture of it.
on the center label, you mean?
No, like the 7 inch was like about like a 45.
Right, right,
Yeah.
but the center label looked like the songs on
Oh,
it looked like old disco tunes or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Did you listen to the 7-inch?
I probably did at one point. It's been a
Well, the
minute.
only reason I asked is because I was going through my test pressings yesterday and kind of organizing them, and I found one that looked like that also.
Okay.
It on one, I think it was for or no, excuse me, I think it was for Still Spitting Blood,
Mhm.
and then the 7-inch that came with it,
Okay.
and most of them are normal, but this one had a black label on one side and then like a disco ball kind of like record label center label
Yeah.
on the
Mine
other
had like
side
I'll have to look at it. But
that
yeah.
like I was like, what the fuck is this? It looks like they had just accidentally pressed um, like a mistake label on it. You
Mhm.
should check and see what's on that.
I will. I think I need
I should
I need
too,
an example.
actually. I just assumed it was because sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Um, but
I'll take a look.
weird that you mentioned that because I literally just saw that yesterday
Well, that's crazy.
out of chance.
Oh, hell yeah. That's sweet.
But like if it is the tunes that's supposed to be on the 7-inch that I sent out with that record,
Mhm.
um, like those are another set of songs that I'm very proud of, similar
Nice.
to Can't Relate and Worry About Yourself.
Mhm.
And I didn't like they have titles, but like there was no information with that 7-inch. It didn't have a
Right.
cover. It didn't have all it had was a dust jacket and
Mhm.
the I wanted it to be like what are these songs and
Yeah.
where are they like why you know what I mean
Mhm.
they ended up on the failures or third Sordid Youth record.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know about that. And then
Yeah.
finally, Barfly was a song that I wrote for this that I wanted to I wanted there to be unreleased material.
Yeah.
It was getting towards the end of me leaving my job. I was drunk. I was a mess, man. And Evan Wolf did the video for it. I remember I went to the bar one morning. I brought a green screen with me. I put the song on the stereo and
Nice.
filmed myself, and then gave that footage to Evan, and then he created like the collage video around it. I think this is a great song too. I think Barfly is a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's a great way to end it. And I mean, really like and kind of how we touched on it before, like as a whole, like, I like to talk about like why these records are important and like when you're talking about progression, it sounds like this is the one, like when we're to look at a progression of a band, this would be a good starting point for the Nathans, just to kind of see like that history and how you've grown as musicians and your approach.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. I mean, you could listen to all 6 albums, right? But, like, you could also listen to the first Sordid Youth, the second one, and the third one, and kind of,
Hmm.
like, get a warp zone, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
insight as to where the band, you know, the different eras of the band and where it started to where each of those eras kinda start, you know?
yeah, hell yeah, man. And I mean, yeah, I encourage everybody to listen to all your music. I dig. I like Oppositional Defiance is a great record. I love Waste My Heart as well. I mean, pumping music out all the time, which is awesome. What's the new year looking like? Are you doing any shows or got anything?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, it's a interesting it's a up and down, you know, what we talked about at the beginning was like I am um you know, the last 2 years we did all this like kind of wild stuff. We toured with Bottle Rocket and the Dead Kennedys and Guttermouth and the Gaslight Anthem and Less Than
Yeah.
Jake and Strung Out. And it's like, you know, all these amazing shows. And 2026 rolls around and oh shit, dude. And it's really weird. And I don't know what to do and I don't know why. I have no clue like as to how these things work.
Hmm.
We have some shows with the Queers in March.
Nice.
We're going to we have a couple shows with the Pie Tasters that haven't been announced. Um, we are going to we have some shows with Canadian Rifle and Horace Pinker. None of these have been announced yet, by the
No,
way.
that's all right.
But
That's
they
cool.
are now. With Canadian Rifle and Horace Pinker. We have some shows. So then we're going to go to Hawaii in
Oh hell
June.
yeah.
Um, and hopefully, you know, hopefully we'll make our debut in Japan this year.
Oh hell yeah.
Um, Working on going back to Europe in July. Um, so I don't know, man. It's like I'm home right now till March, and I don't know what to do with myself. So just
Yeah.
we're writing a new record. We're actually
Awesome.
going into the studio on at the end of January to start recording. We're gonna do it a little bit different this time. We're gonna record 3 or 4 songs at a time
Hmm.
over the course of a couple months instead of like cramming everything into like 10 days or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, so there's going to be a new LP coming out, um, and I can and you know what I think it's really important that a band does grow and that the songs do get better, or else like if you're just putting out records that suck worse than your last one, then like why are
Right.
you doing it? And I really think that like you know I was not very happy with our last record or the one before it. Um,
Okay.
Not my personal favorite. I tell those guys, and they're like, they're like, there's dude, like, what's wrong with you? You know, like they're like, but it's just me. But this one, I can tell is gonna be hopefully like one of my favorites.
Hell yeah.
I think that the songs that we have written for it already are pretty fucking rad. Um, we have a split 7-inch with Horace Pinker coming out. We have a split 7-inch with this band Fat Heaven.
I love
Um,
them.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah, they're
great.
great. You know, we did some shows with them, and that's been in the works for a while. So that's finally, you know, those records are at the plant, and they'll finally be coming out within the next few months. And uh, yeah, I think that's all I have. You know, on the books really, or stuff that I'm
Yeah.
trying to get done. It's like we're having a hard time with booking shows lately, but yeah, so that's what's going on.
Oh yeah, you got some stuff in the mix, and then I'll actually see you in, I think it's April with, I know you're touring with the doing the dopamines
Oh yeah.
thing with
Well,
TBR.
where are we gonna see you at?
Green Bay,
Green
the
Bay.
the distillery. It's a good spot.
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. Well,
Yeah, me too, man.
I appreciate you hopping on. Where can people find everything, social media and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, dude, we're easy. We're easy to find.
Just search it.
If people want, if people have made it through this hour of me rambling on about a fucking compilation record, they know where to find my band.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it.
No, dude, Drew, thank you so much for having me, man. You know I love to talk.
For sure. Awesome, man. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, dude, thank you. I'm glad that I could come on and talk to you about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have like 6,000 jobs, but like one of them is I'm in a radio station right now. I do radio part-time and I have like an afternoon show, and most of the stuff we play is I hate it. It's all just like that dad rock shit, but I plug in stuff that I like all the time, and so this is kind of like an extension of that to talk about music I actually like and all
It's
that.
it's a perk of the job, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
you can do your podcast and play some butt rock, but
Yeah.
maybe throw a fucking Nathan song in there one day.
Oh, I will. I definitely will. Yeah, I plugged like TBR, and I put dopamines on quite a bit, Menzingers, all that kind of stuff. So
Awesome.
people seem to dig it, which is good. So yeah, I'll definitely throw some Nathans on there too.
Thanks, man. Well, dude, I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, and yeah, I'll see you in April.
Yeah, hey man, make sure to email me or text me. We'll throw you on the guest list so you don't have to buy a
Oh,
ticket.
I got a ticket already, but it's all good. I appreciate it. So
All right, man.
all right, I'll see you later.
Stay in touch. Later.
Yep. Bye.